Yeah. And so in a continuation of this conversation about recommendation letters, do you think folks should prioritize academic letters over professional ones, especially for people who are applying? Because I get this all the time. People, even when people apply like maybe 2 years removed from law school, they think they're like suddenly very old. It can't get letters of recommendation from their professor. So I'm curious as to how you view that like puzzle piece of when to get the professional letter, when to get asked your professor.
Yes, I think that it's super important to, generally speaking, have academic letters because you're applying to an academic program. I think there are some schools out there that they do not care how long you've been away from undergrad. They still expect to see academic letters. So you have to vet that for sure. But I think overall, for many of us, if you've been out of school less than 4 or 5 years, the expectation is that you have academic letters. And part of that is because of how, the nature of the relationships with law faculty and their students is super, super important. And so we're kind of looking at that because a lot of what happens in law school is definitely tied to the connection you have with your professors. You're going to, not only are they teaching you and kind of forming you into the lawyer you're going to be, but they also are often the ones that are going to write letters of recommendation and things like that for your fellowships and externships and things like that. But I think it's, the skills that we're looking for often can be addressed by a professor or a teaching assistant or an advisor. And so I think that's important to note. And so again, to be strategic, a lot of this is really tied to what the school preferences are, but also what your statistical profile is. And I think that's another thing that I feel like candidates just are not being thoughtful about. If you're applying to a school and you've been out less than, 3-4 years and your grades are closer to the median or below the median or closer to the 25th percentile, you want to have more academic letters than anything because you're trying to basically communicate that irrespective of what you see on my transcripts and my cumulative GPA by LSSC, I am a competitive candidate and here are the people that are going to tell you why, who also work in the same, type of setting. And so I think that's important strategy-wise to think about. I think if you're applying to a school and your GPA is closer to the 75th, you can risk it and have an academic letter, an internship or something of that nature. Mm-hmm. But, for most candidates, you want to be strategic and thoughtful about what you're submitting because they're going to speak to the narrative that you're trying to communicate to the schools.